desert.
Simply MJAD, we're here, we're live. Mwah. Hello, I'm MJAD Demon. Welcome to Simply MJAD. Today we're here to have a wonderful conversation with Marjory Sheba, and she's a poet, writer, mother, activist, among other things that she's going to share today. And she grants us access to share these things in her life. And welcome to the conversation. Hey, Marge.
Hi, MJ.
How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Yeah, it's been quite some time. How's the family?
Family's great. My daughter's doing really well. It's
Okay.
just her and I, really.
Okay.
Just keeping busy.
Yeah, Kim, you look great. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah. And first I'd like to ask you, how do you jog all this? Because I'm a mommy as well. I've got a house full of them. How do you juggle? Writer, entrepreneur. I know all the stuff that you do. We tell them because I already know.
Thank
How do
you.
juggle?
Well, for one, to be honest, I feel like I've been able to amass these different titles only because of the time that's passed. I think if everybody took their talent seriously, they would have had so many titles as well, right? So the time is going to pass anyway. If it's 4 years, 5 years, why not apply yourself to whatever it is that you feel you're good at and whatever that you feel that you were called to do. So the balance for me, it's not always perfect. It is not. I'm not the most organized person when it comes to the corporate organized way. And
I won't give myself away.
Right. And I think brain people are usually not. We just know to be creative, right?
Yeah.
And so that's why when someone else comes in and when we can afford to have an assistant or we can afford to have a staff, and then we become better because there's that person who's great at organizing, and then they can kind of put all these things that we're doing in place. So I was blessed that I've arrived at that point. But before, it was like I did things in a row. When I was writing, I was also pursuing a career. And I'd come home late at night, make sure I put some thoughts to paper. And of course, naturally, I'm a Caribbean American. I was born in Haiti to East African and Haitian parents. And so I immediately was able to hear certain issues that were happening in the community. I belonged to a church community, and it was easy, the activism part, right? Because if you cared, then we all have that activist in us, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And so
it's from within.
Exactly. And that I didn't go looking for that. That really came onto my lap. Churches putting together rallies, and I was like, I want to be there. And then little by little, it grew to something more.
Okay, I know we spoke about your entrepreneurship behaviors and all that. One of the things that I know you got involved with was the Million Man March this year. I know a lot of stuff that you do is not on camera. That's why today I said I had to sit down and have a conversation with you and give you some presents because I know you do so much. Tell us a little bit about that. Brother Farrakhan and all that.
Yes, I got to meet him, Brother Faisal Muhammad, and Brother Patrick Muhammad, of course Joseph Makandal Muhammad, who's out of the East Coast area, quite a few. And what was unique this time, 20 years later, as you know, this was the March 20 years later, it was, the message was different. It was now a message of action, right? People are waking up, there's a consciousness movement, and it's all across, exactly. And
shift.
So, yes, huge shift. And the brother, I mean, Mr. Farrakhan, the minister, he's up there in age, and to see him be, full of vigor and just be still so much on message. And what was different this time, he actually went to local community groups. He came down to South Florida and he met with Haitian American leaders, exactly, which included Marlene Bastien, which included a couple of others, and of course that was significant. And he came to our level of what's the issues that right now we're looking at, and of course at that time and even now were the tensions between Haiti and Santo Domingo, etc. Yeah. So and he went and he did this to other clusters as well. He went to see the Native Americans. He went to see the Hispanic community leaders. That was significant to get to meet him and talk to him about real things and not just let him.
I would love to have a conversation with him. And a lot of things that people don't know. I actually saw an interview with him where he went to a Baptist church with a preacher.
Yes.
And he sat down. A lot of
Yes.
people thinking, oh, it's, no, this is the shift. And
Right.
I just want to, I pray that one day I have a, you know, a chance
I'm
to
sure
meet
you
him.
will. Yeah, I know
I
you
think
will.
it's
It's just a matter of
fascinating.
time. Yes.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Okay, another, you know, things we want to talk about. When we return, we want to take a very short break. And because there's so much to talk to Marjory about. I mean, she's loaded when it comes to goodies. So we'll take a short break and then we'll be right back.
Haitians, rise. Be proud of your culture. Raise your flag like a Rochambeau soldier. First of slaves to battle and be free. Claim with pride your country's history.
Welcome back to Simply MJAD. We're here with the lovely Marjory Sheba, one of my faves, my fashionista, you know.
No.
And we're here to continue our conversation. And now you're going to tell us a little bit about the books. You're a writer, a poet, you know. Tell us about, one of my favorites is Sheba 5, but you know, we can talk about it, but tell us about this new one.
Okay. The new one is Sometimes You Have to Close Your Eyes to See. And it is my first deviation from poetry. And if you noticed in Sheba 5, A Poetic Journey to Self-Actualization, there were poems, but then there were passages after the poems that drew from inspiration and spiritual. Yes, I put a number of years. It took me 3 years to write Sheba 5, and this has taken me almost 5 years to write. Sometimes you have to close your eyes to see. And what tends to happen with writers is sometimes parting from the work is hard. It's never done, right?
Never done.
It's never done.
Never done.
And
oh
so
God.
you always have something you want to add. And I can tell you, if I put something out today, probably in 6 months, I'll look at it and say, I would have said this differently. I know more now. I would have added this word. And you have to let that be.
Yeah.
Just let
Just
leave
let it
room
be.
for growth,
Yeah.
and your readers will appreciate that because they grow with you. But sometimes you have to close your eyes to see. It's pretty much in a nutshell. It's stories and inspirations that I've experienced and others have shared with me about going inwards to see on the outside. And so sometimes we get caught up, right, in everything that's happening around us. And one of the things I realize is the busier we are, the more active we are, it's not necessarily us being productive, right? And so when things are happening so fast around you, it takes a second, eye to look down and see you in that, to realize this is what I should do. This is the best move. In the situation itself is not usually the best way to see where you are. So this is what meditation, prayer, positive intent, affirmations.
I know we discussed a little things over the phone that now into your meditation. And then, one thing I learned about meditation I've been doing for years is really not to really focus on the words itself, because a lot of people think when you're going to meditate, it's a chore.
Right.
No, just like you said, to simply be.
Yes.
And allow yourself, connect with the
Yes.
elements.
Yeah.
So
you have different thoughts about it.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily chanting an om, or
Thank
channeling something.
Thank you
That's those things are their own rituals.
Yeah, everyone does what works for them.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it's not.
But Jesus meditated, and then I had to tell people, what do you think he was doing on top of that mountain?
He was
Every time
meditating.
yes.
Amen.
He left his disciples, down where they were, and then went and secluded himself, right? So it's meditating, and meditating is.
Oh, I have chills, Marjory. Oh my God, I'm so happy. I mean, you fit in a conversation of transformation. I kid you not.
Thank
Like when you have that insight, you can't explain it to anybody as to why. Right. And I would just tell my sister, could you get anything you can? She said, what do you want from on the outside? She said, just go enter for Marjory. Because she said, like you normally do. And then she said, you're going to get the stuff, and that's the stuff.
Thank you. Yes, you did.
That's the stuff you got.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's what it's about, and I'm still learning. None of us ever arrive at, but it's been awesome. And I think and this is one conversation that I take when I end up having with certain people when I run into them. All aspects of faith, right, fulfill their purpose, okay? All do. They all work. And sometimes we know things, we can't wait to push that on the next person, and you see it wrong, you're seeing it the wrong way. I'm a Christian, you're a Muslim, I'm a Jewish person, and that's just where the person is at now. And that's okay too. But the truth is, when you are conscious and you're becoming enlightened, or the more you know, the more you realize you don't
No,
right?
anything.
Right. And you just have to accept that
Well,
they're
thank you
not
for
there
saying
yet.
that.
It's like having an argument with somebody over a book that you read and they've never read,
Yeah.
and they're giving you their opinion on it.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So you should be the one to know that they don't have all the information yet.
Exactly.
This is not the time. Let them be at the truth that they're at this point, okay? And growth will take them where it needs to. That's it. And so this is how we learn. We have to learn to live with each other, have tolerance, and then be able to find our truth and live in it. We're not all going to be in the same level of truth at the same time.
You
It's
know,
just
do you
life.
think, I don't know if you can support me on that, that others who doesn't have tolerance for others, I believe doesn't have it for themselves, like love? I don't know if I'm way off on
Yes, no, I agree
Yeah.
with you with that.
'Cause
They're
it's-
judging themselves as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it
Absolutely.
just upsets them, you know, when they're not, because they're not getting anywhere with themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And some people are, it's unfortunate, like, man, some people are really, they've been exposed to a lot of negative, right? And even in their home, right, since they were
Yeah.
children. And so if you were to see that level of negativity, lack of acceptance, judgment that that person was conditioned with, we would have a very different, opinion of why they lashed out, why they're hateful, why they're such racists, okay? Not that it excuses it, but you start to understand. And so it's like,
As to why
yeah.
they brought them on this, you know,
Of
the
course.
outside.
It's
Yeah.
like a person with a cancer, and you're going to be mad at, you have cancer, or get away from me, you have cancer.
Yeah.
No, right? But we
There's
don't
something
act
behind
like
it,
that.
yeah.
We don't act like that when it's behaviors and beliefs and certain hatefulness, right, that people have. But it's a cancer.
Yeah.
It's a disease. It's
an
a, you know what I
illness. It's
mean?
an
Yes,
illness.
it's an illness. And they
Yeah.
don't realize it, and they will have to arrive at that on their own time.
Okay, and I know now you're into coaching as well.
Coaching.
Yeah, you're going to
Yes. Yeah, I
do.
do
Just
some
a
of
little
that.
bit,
Yeah.
about that.
So-
So are you doing what, enlightenment in coaching, or are you just because you have a business background? So
Yes.
Are you
And
just kind of everything kind of mixed together? Or?
everything is mixed together, and I'll be honest, it's not motivational for me. I could never really relate to that word, right? So I remember when I first started doing speaking engagements,
Wow.
okay?
I'm just my head right now, and my sister, she's laughing over there because she knows this is like wow.
Yeah.
Twins.
Awesome. I know we have very
Oh my
much,
God.
kindred spirit.
Wow.
And so because I'm the type of learner that I don't want the hype, right? I want the substance, okay? No judgment, that's just how I learn, right? The same way, I knew this when I was younger. Of course, my parents are Christians, and so sitting in a church setting, and we would have different guest pastors, and I would notice the difference between "But thou shalt not" and the very animated, and some people get a kick out of that, and they love that, and they'll leave
And
just
many are
as
hurt.
drained. Yes, of course, right? I didn't like the hype, so I like the substance. So I like the person that can get a little bit animated, but had information for me. So when I do speaking engagements, right, it's usually a story. It's usually something that I want to connect with the audience. I'll have something on paper, but I try to pick up on what energy, what I'm
Right.
feeling, what do I need to stay on more. And I always prepare. So I want to make sure that person leaves with steps, specific information, specific things they can go and work on. And so the term transformational speaker is what I identify with better, than motivational.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because motivational for me, and I learned that you take a bath, you wash it off. You can be motivated by anything. You go to sleep, by the time you wake up, it's like, oh God, do I really
You gotta
want
do
to
it
do
again.
But when this comes from like aspire, from within,
Yes.
yeah, that's like you can knock your hair. You have a bad hair day. The child didn't show up when you go to pick them up.
Yes.
You just breathe and you just keep it moving.
Yes.
So, yeah,
Because
there's
to
a
me,
difference.
motivation is the what, right?
Yeah.
Transformation is the why, right? And then the what, you could teach the person the what all the time, but when there's not a why behind it and for it, okay, read these affirmations to yourself every day. They'll do that, but if they don't understand and they're not really connecting and believing, that's the why. So I am great. I am beautiful. Why? I'm a child of God. I believe I was born to be great.
Great.
You understand?
There's greatness in me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not just in the words, it's what you believe, which is why I love the series that we're seeing now. And I'll mention her name, Oprah Winfrey, has
Okay.
been pushing
Yeah.
when,
Oh, I love Oprah.
and that specific phrase when she says, we don't become what we want, we become what we believe.
Exactly.
We become what we believe. Period.
That's what the book I read, that's pretty much, it comes to sums it up for me. I'm sitting here, I'm like this. Because it's the same thing like when you're in church, there are children that can recite verses back to back, because I remember I was one of them. That's how I won my first journal.
Nice.
So I remember my grandmother, she didn't just have me recite, but she would sit back with the stories behind it and let me know how they're going to guide me through life.
Oh, I
and
like that.
yeah, so that's what it was for me. So I can understand the substance, you know, and then read.
Your grandmother was a wise woman.
She was a wise woman. I mean, totally belly with the traditional education, because her brothers went to school instead. But let me tell you, when my French was off the bar, she corrected me.
Oh, wow.
Taught me to read from the Bible.
Nice.
I spend my vacations with her, so yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, I missed her. I missed her dearly. Okay, yeah, so now we're going to pretty much, you know, we cover, and then another little thing that we knew that you met the man, Mr. President Obama.
Yeah.
Tell us about that. I saw your daughter with him as well.
Yeah, that was like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
But it still feels just as new. He is a remarkable human being. Remarkable.
Wow.
This man was called into, you know, his position now. It just is what it is. Very nice person. He walked into the room and we were privileged to be there because I had done a number of work, and I still do at times, for the administration in terms of raising funds and speaking and educating, you know, with different groups. So I had the opportunity to be in that room at the Marriott Hotel in Miami, HW Marriott, and it was just 12 of us. It was myself. I brought my daughter with me, and that was yes, because I know she always asked about him. She wanted to meet him, and there were certain rules, but I took a chance, and I'm glad I did it. Yeah. And she was in her school uniform and something.
Yeah, I saw her.
But yeah, don't have her hair blown out like a grown girl. Braid it. Let her be just her four big braids in her school uniform, and she's a little black girl, you know, meeting a black president. And it was effective. As soon as he walked in the room, we waited a little bit. Eva Longoria was in the room as well. Governor Charlie Crist was in the room as well. And a couple of other people. Yeah, that same 12. And he came in with his Secret Services. They came in first, and then he came. And then he greeted everybody, and his eyes went straight to her. And he walked straight to my daughter and started talking to her. Yeah, and he loved kids. Yeah, right? He does. And that's a good sign. That's his energy field. It relates to children because it's children earnesty. Yes. It's a purity, it's an earnesty behind him. Do you understand? That calls that, and children love him because there's that light, and they see more than we can, right? Yeah. And that conversation went on for minutes to the point where others in the room, they were starting to wonder, who's this little girl? What does she do? And you know, but there was nothing special to her beyond, you know, being there and grasping his attention. He was asking about her schooling, etc. And
he perhaps asks his daughters every day.
Right, exactly.
So it's natural for him.
Right, and so we were very blessed. And then after that little setting, he spoke to us very wholeheartedly. And then we resorted to the larger room where there was a banquet, some 400 people that were there. And so in that event went on. But it was a great opportunity.
Yeah. I felt that, you know, he was born, for me, I think God is so humorous. You know, he came from two different sides, you know. And then here he is, a state that he was born in formerly was not part of the United States. Right. And it just happened to be there for him when he was born. It was part of the United States. I'm telling you, call me crazy, but I know this is a plan. This was a plan. This man, his life is a message. Yes. Yeah. Came from both sides. Both sides.
Timing and positioning. And I teach women, entrepreneur women in business or aspire to be, it's always about timing and positioning. You can offer the same thing 10 years too late, right? Yeah. You can be in the right timing in the wrong position of power, and you can't be as influential as you would want to be. And what was remarkable with Obama's story, I remember when the words started coming, because if you remember, it was as a senator still, and he spoke right at John Kerry's campaign, and after he spoke in that year, it created so much buzz. People were already planting seeds.
I remember Oprah said when he was Oprah said she didn't say senator, she said the president.
Right.
And I called, and I remember when I was just talking about my book, and then I tell everyone, I said, I'm going to sleep.
Yes.
Because it was so much for me. I did my work, get people to vote and all that. I said I'm going to sleep. But I know when I wake up, that's
You'll
going
be
to be my
president.
president. And when I woke up, he was.
And it happened.
True story.
And people of all backgrounds, even people who usually voted Republican,
Yeah.
something magical
Just
happened
something,
in
yeah.
the spirit and the psyche,
Yeah.
synergy. And he said, I remember this documentary, he said he was not so sure at the beginning when people approached him that he needed to run. And he had a mentor, a very special man who said to him, sometimes, because he said, I'm just starting my term as a senator. I'm not even ran the second
full
time.
run yet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you remember the story from his book, Dreams
his
of My
father,
Father,
yeah.
right? And he talked about he had failures prior to
Yes,
that.
a lot.
He had ran before and didn't win, right? And so he just got the Senate seat, and you're talking president? Are you crazy?
My goodness.
And
yeah.
the mentor told him, sometimes you choose the time, but sometimes the time chooses you.
Wow.
Yes. And goosebumps all over, right? And that's how I felt. And I got that message then, and I've seen that apply to many aspects of my life as well. So
And now
that's
you
true for all of
telling,
us.
you're sharing with our audience
Yes.
today too, who didn't read the book.
Yes.
You got this. Okay, I'm going to ask you something, perhaps put you a little off. If you can just recite a little poetry, because I love your
Oh
work.
my God.
Anything, just a few words, you know, just a few words of anything you will like.
Okay, let's see. Let's see.
I've seen you do that on stage like that. But
Okay,
since this is so personal, anyone, just a couple of lines, or someone
Well,
that
I liked Haitians Rise because I think it speaks to anybody, but you know, when we say Haitians Rise, be proud of your culture. Raise your flag like a Rochambeau soldier, first of men to battle and be free. Claim with pride your country's history. And I'll leave it at that.
My girl!
Thank you so much.
My girl,
Thank
Marjory.
you.
We can go on forever, but this is only half an hour, perhaps a little bit more minute
Yes,
over.
thank you. This
I'm
was
just
very
so,
nice.
I'm so blessed. Thank you for blessing with
Thank
your
you.
presence,
Thank
your
you.
wisdom. I know
Thank
we're
you.
going together.
Yes.
And then, you know, we will meet again. And,
Thank
you know,
you.
I'm here for you.
I
As they
welcome
say,
the
I got
opportunity.
your back.
Thank you
girl.
so
I got
much,
your back.
MJ.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I want to thank everyone for watching Simply MJAD and our lovely guest, inspirational. You know, we say not just motivational. You know, she's inspirational. And visit her website and Google her, Marjory Sheba, which is MAJORY, and all the information will be there. The YouTube channel for you guys to go and visit her and support her work. Tell us that book again, the title.
Sometimes you have to close your eyes to see. And on my website, they can get that. It's marjorysheba.net or marjorysheba.com.
Yeah, normally we put all your information,
Thank you
all
so
your media
much.
information, so
Thank
people
you.
can just love you, girl.
Thank you. Love you too.
love
Thank you. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you, everyone. And then remember that, you know, we're all here. We're, as Marjorie mentioned, and you know, so many words, that, you know, we're here. We have greatness within us. And that it's really up to us when we decide. I said your amazing life begins when you decide. And so when you start going with them, listen with them. And that's when the magic, you know, happens, the blessings. You know? Thank you for watching. Take care. Cheers. Wow.